What if the exhaustion you carry isn't weakness, but awareness? What if the heaviness in your chest isn't failure, but the cost of seeing clearly in a world addicted to illusion? Most people move through life half asleep. They repeat opinions they never examined, chase goals they never chose, wear masks so long they forget there was ever a face beneath them. But you started to notice. And once you notice, you cannot unsee. You began to sense the tension beneath polite smiles. You hear the insecurity behind arrogance. You feel the unspoken resentment in rooms where everyone insists everything is fine. You recognize patterns in people's behavior before they do. And perhaps most unsettling of all, you see yourself with the same piercing clarity. Your strengths, your contradictions, your hidden motives, your fear. That kind of awareness is not comfortable. It is destabilizing. Carl Jung said that enlightenment does not come from imagining figures of light, but from making the darkness conscious. And the moment you start doing that, truly doing that, your world shifts. The simple stories collapse. The excuses stop working. The comfortable lies dissolve. You realize how often you've performed instead of lived, how often you've reacted instead of chosen, how often you've blamed instead of taken responsibility. Awareness strips you of illusion, and illusion is comfortable. It's comfortable to believe you're always the victim. It's comfortable to believe others are the problem. It's comfortable to scroll, distract, numb, and blend in. But awareness shatters comfort. It forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you could become. That gap feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like standing alone in a crowded room. But listen carefully. That pressure is not here to crush you. It is here to forge you. Every breakthrough in human history began with someone who saw what others refused to see. Every transformation, personal or collective, started with discomfort. The entrepreneur who recognizes the broken system, the leader who sees the hidden injustice, the individual who looks in the mirror and admits, "I am not living at my highest level." Awareness is the spark. Without it, nothing changes. The reason it feels isolating is because clarity separates you from complacency. When you become conscious, you stop laughing at things that once entertained you. You stop participating in conversations that drain you. You stop tolerating dynamics that shrink you. And when you stop participating in unconscious patterns, some people won't understand. They may call you intense, too serious, overthinking. But what they are really sensing is your refusal to sleepwalk through life. Awareness increases responsibility. Once you see your patterns, you can't pretend they aren't there. Once you recognize your potential, you can't convincingly settle for mediocrity. Once you detect manipulation, dishonesty, or self-sabotage, you are faced with a choice: return to ignorance or rise. That choice is where your power lives. Yes, awareness is heavy. It demands courage. It demands that you stand face to face with your own shadow, the jealousy, the insecurity, the ego, the fear of being insignificant. It demands that you own your reactions instead of blaming circumstances. But in that ownership, something extraordinary happens. You stop being a passive character in your own story. You become the author. The weight you feel is the weight of truth. And truth is dense. It has gravity. It pulls you inward. It forces reflection. But it also stabilizes you. Illusion is light and airy. It floats away under pressure. Truth anchors you. So if you feel tired because you see too much, do not shrink your vision. Strengthen your spine. If you feel different because you question more deeply, do not dilute your mind. Sharpen it. If you feel alone because you refuse shallow living, do not lower your standards. Elevate your environment. You are not overwhelmed because you are broken. You are overwhelmed because you are waking up. And waking up is the most dangerous and powerful thing a human being can do. You stand at a mirror, staring not at a reflection, but at the truth you've been avoiding. And in that truth, you see your shadow, the part of you you have hidden even from yourself. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the instincts, impulses, and flaws we deny, because they make us uncomfortable. It lurks in the corners of your psyche, in the thoughts you suppress, the judgments you secretly harbor, the anger you bury beneath politeness. Most people spend their lives projecting this shadow outward, blaming the world for what they refuse to face within. But you cannot run from it. You cannot unsee it. And here's the revelation. The moment you confront your shadow is the moment you gain power over it. Imagine the courage it takes to see yourself honestly, the jealousy that sneaks in when someone succeeds, the bitterness that rises when life seems unfair, the moments when fear dictates your choices and yet you pretend everything is fine. Most would rather close their eyes, pretend, distract, numb themselves, or assign blame to anyone but themselves. But not you. You have chosen the road of awareness, and that road is not gentle. It forces you to stare into the dark corners of your mind where ego, fear, and regret conspire. Acknowledging the shadow is not self-loathing, it is not punishment, it is liberation. When you name your darkness, you take its power away. The moment you admit, I have been envious, I have been dishonest, I have been afraid, you reclaim control over those impulses. You stop being a puppet of your unconscious mind. You stop repeating the same patterns, sabotaging the same opportunities, and echoing the same regrets. Awareness is the weapon. Shadow integration is the victory. Every great transformation, every profound act of courage begins here. The entrepreneur who sees their fear of failure and chooses action anyway. The leader who recognizes their own biases and refuses to let them dictate decisions. The individual who admits their mistakes, faces their guilt, and commits to growth. All of them wrestled with their shadow first. All of them accepted the uncomfortable truth. Growth is never painless, and awareness is never light. The shadow also teaches you empathy. When you acknowledge your own darkness, you recognize it in others. You stop condemning what you once denied in yourself. That friend who seems toxic? Maybe they are lost in their shadow, just as you once were. That colleague who manipulates? Perhaps they are running from their own fear. Awareness allows you to see beyond surface behavior and into the deeper currents of human motivation. It transforms judgment into understanding, reaction into choice, resentment into strategy. And here is the empowering truth. Every flaw you confront, every uncomfortable truth you own, becomes fuel. Your jealousy becomes a compass, pointing to what you desire. Your fear becomes a signal, revealing what matters most. Your anger becomes energy, propelling you toward action instead of allowing stagnation. By facing what you've denied, you turn weakness into weaponry, chaos into clarity, confusion into power. Practical action begins with reflection. Ask yourself, what traits in others push my buttons? What behaviors trigger me? Then dig deeper. Trace those feelings back to yourself. Where in your own life have you mirrored these patterns? Shadow journaling, self-dialogue, conscious introspection. These are not luxuries. They are survival tools for the mind awakened. Each moment spent in honest self-reflection is a deposit in the bank of your strength. Each acknowledgement of your inner darkness is a step toward mastery. This path demands relentless honesty. It demands that you face what you've been taught to avoid, your pride, your envy, your cowardice, your selfishness. And it demands action. Awareness without integration is like fire. Without direction, it can destroy you. But awareness with courageous confrontation transforms you. You do not merely endure the shadow, you harness it. You make it work for you. You become not a victim of your own unconscious, but the architect of your mind. And here is the final, unshakable truth. The moment you own your darkness, it loses its grip over you. Fear no longer controls your choices. Guilt no longer paralyzes your steps. Anger no longer blinds your judgment. You emerge from the shadows not broken, not diminished, but whole, stronger, sharper, and more alive than ever. This is the path of true awareness, the path of those willing to do what most will not, to face themselves fully and unapologetically, and to rise. Your shadow is not the enemy. It is your teacher, your mirror, your ultimate ally in the relentless pursuit of growth. Embrace it, confront it, integrate it, and with every step remember, strength is not the absence of darkness. It is the courage to walk through it and claim your power on the other side. Imagine standing in a crowded room yet feeling profoundly alone. Everyone around you is laughing, scrolling, performing, repeating the same shallow routines, and yet you feel detached, almost invisible. You realize that your mind has awakened while the world continues to sleep. This is the paradox of awareness. The sharper your vision, the narrower your alignment with the unconscious masses. And yes, it can feel lonely. Yes, it can feel isolating. But isolation is not a curse. It is a signal, a marker that you are evolving beyond the ordinary, beyond distraction, beyond the shallow comforts that most people settle for. When you see clearly, you stop participating in collective illusions. You no longer nod at meaningless conversations. You no longer laugh at jokes that perpetuate ignorance or cruelty. You start questioning traditions, motives, and unspoken rules. This clarity separates you, it distances you, it challenges your old social bonds, and at first it hurts. You miss the warmth of belonging. You feel the sting of judgment or misunderstanding. Friends may call you intense. Family may worry that you are too much. Colleagues might whisper that you're overthinking. And yet, what they are actually sensing is your refusal to sleepwalk through life. They are sensing that you have chosen consciousness over comfort, and that is a rare, dangerous, and electrifying choice. Jung called this process individuation, the separation from collective unconscious patterns to step fully into the person you were meant to be. And individuation requires solitude. It demands that you spend time with yourself, that you examine your mind, your motives, and your deepest desires without the constant echo of social validation. It is in this space of solitude that you discover the raw truth of who you are, unfiltered and unedited. It is here that you confront your fears, your shadow, and your potential. It is here that transformation takes root. Yet loneliness is not emptiness. It is a fertile ground. It is the crucible where the weak are forged into the strong. The discomfort you feel is proof that growth is happening. When you begin to feel isolated, you are no longer operating at the level of the unconscious majority. You are operating at a higher frequency. You are absorbing truths they cannot perceive, sensing motives they cannot read, and feeling depths they cannot bear to acknowledge. This is not a punishment. It is a privilege, an invitation to step into power few ever experience. And here is the secret. You are never truly alone. There are others walking the same path, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same tension between truth and conformity. They may be hidden, distant, or quiet, but they exist. Seek them. Seek mentors, thinkers, creators, and visionaries. Surround yourself with minds that challenge you, not comfort you. Engage in conversations that stretch your perspective, not reaffirm your excuses. Choose quality over quantity, depth over noise. This is how the lonely path becomes purposeful, how isolation becomes strength, and how consciousness becomes a magnet for growth, not a prison of emptiness. Solitude also sharpens your ability to navigate the world consciously. When you are not distracted by superficial relationships or the approval of others, you can see clearly. You notice patterns, behaviors, and opportunities that others miss. You begin to act intentionally instead of react instinctively. You make decisions not based on fear or habit, but on insight and strategy. Your mind becomes a weapon, your focus a tool, and your presence a force. Every moment of discomfort, every pang of loneliness, every sigh of separation is being converted into mastery, resilience, and power. And most importantly, this isolation teaches self-reliance. You realize that you are responsible for your own growth, your own emotional state, and your own destiny. No one can carry you through this journey. No one can shield you from the truth. The world may try to pull you back into its comforting illusions, but you must resist. You must stay conscious. You must remain committed to seeing, feeling, and acting with awareness. Because the world needs the few who are awake, the ones who can stand in clarity and illuminate paths for themselves and others. So embrace the isolation. Own it. Transform it. Use it as a signal that you are stepping out of the unconscious crowd and into the arena of power, clarity, and purpose. The loneliness you feel is temporary. The strength you gain from it is permanent. And as you walk this path, you will realize that it is better to stand alone in truth than to be surrounded by illusion. It is better to feel the weight of consciousness than to drift in ignorance. It is better to rise in clarity than to stumble in comfort. Remember this. Solitude is not a barrier, it is the gateway. The more you accept it, the more you thrive in it, the more you embrace it, the more unstoppable you become. And when you finally return to the world, you do so not as someone lost or broken, but as a force of consciousness, integrity, and unshakable strength. The isolation was never your enemy. It was your ally, your teacher, and the proving ground for the extraordinary life you are destined to live. The weight you feel from awareness, the pressure from clarity, the tension born of seeing too much. It is not a curse. It is the raw material of power. Every thought you have, every insight you gain, every uncomfortable truth you face is energy waiting to be harnessed. You have carried the burden of consciousness, and now it is time to transform that burden into strength. You have been forged in the fire of your own awareness, tempered by solitude, sharpened by honesty. The weight is not your enemy, it is your instrument, and mastery begins the moment you decide to wield it. Awareness is power because it allows you to see the world as it truly is. You notice the patterns that others miss. You sense the motives that others ignore. You understand the cycles of behavior that trap most people in repetition, frustration, and regret. While others react unconsciously, you can pause, reflect, and choose. Every decision becomes deliberate. Every action becomes intentional. This is not luck. This is skill, the skill of turning observation into strategy, insight into action, and knowledge into influence. The first step in transforming weight into strength is reclaiming control over your own mind. Awareness without direction is like a storm raging inside without a compass, chaotic, exhausting, and dangerous. But when you begin to channel that awareness, everything changes. Pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what is truly happening here? What is my role? What is my next step? Every pause is a reclaiming of your power. Every choice is a demonstration that you are no longer a puppet of circumstance, habit, or emotion. You are a commander of your own mind. Next, turn your insights inward. Awareness reveals the patterns in your behavior, the impulses that derail you, the fears that hold you back. Most people will see these things and shrink, or worse, they will pretend they do not exist. But you are different. You confront them, you map them, you understand them, and then you convert them into tools. The fear that once froze you becomes a guide, pointing to what matters most. The impatience that once frustrated you becomes energy for relentless action. The guilt or regret that once weighed you down becomes the fuel for integrity, accountability, and excellence. Awareness also grants you precision in your relationships. You begin to recognize toxic dynamics before they ensnare you. You understand manipulation before it takes hold. You see people clearly, their strengths, their weaknesses, their intentions, and you respond with clarity rather than impulse. Boundaries are no longer optional, they become natural, instinctive. Your energy is no longer wasted on the unconscious games of others. You invest it in the people, projects, and ideas that amplify your power, expand your potential, and honor your truth. Every insight you gain, every uncomfortable truth you face, every realization you carry is a muscle being trained. Strength is built through resistance, and the resistance you feel in awareness is proof that you are growing. The weight is intentional. It challenges you. It tests you. It asks, will you collapse under truth or will you rise through it? Your answer defines your destiny, and the answer you must give is unshakable. I rise. I own this weight. I convert it into strength. Now is the time to act. Begin small. Each moment of deliberate awareness is a seed of power. Each pause before reaction is a declaration of sovereignty over your mind. Each boundary you set, each truth you face, each pattern you correct is another brick in the foundation of the strongest version of yourself. Over time, these small acts accumulate, and you become unstoppable. The weight transforms into resilience. Confusion transforms into clarity. Anxiety transforms into strategy. Fear transforms into courage. You are no longer a passive participant in life. You are the force driving it forward, conscious, intentional, and unyielding. The transformation is complete when the pressure you once felt becomes your standard. You no longer seek comfort in ignorance. You no longer shrink from challenge, conflict, or truth. The heaviness of awareness is now armor, a lens, and a weapon. You move through life with precision, purpose, and power. Every step is deliberate, every word intentional, every choice strategic. You are no longer carrying a burden, you are channeling it. You are no longer weighed down, you are elevated. You are no longer a spectator, you are the architect of your destiny. And so, remember this, the weight you once feared is your greatest gift. The clarity that once terrified you is your ultimate advantage. Awareness is heavy because it is potent. Strength is forged in the pressure of insight, in the tension of consciousness, in the fire of relentless self-mastery. Carry it, harness it, transform it, because the moment you do, there is nothing in the world capable of stopping you. The path you have walked is not easy. You have carried the weight of awareness, confronted the shadows within, stood alone in your clarity, and transformed pressure into strength. And now, the most important battle begins. The battle to remain conscious in a world designed to pull you back into unconsciousness. This is courage in its purest form. The courage to refuse comfort, to resist distraction, to stand in clarity even when the world tries to convince you to sleep again. To remain awake is to declare every single day that you will not settle for illusion. The world will test you. It will tempt you with ease, entertainment, and the seductive call of forgetting. It will whisper, let it go. Don't overthink. Relax and blend in. It will offer the comfort of ignorance, the relief of distraction, the illusion of belonging. And for a moment it may feel like the easier choice. But you have tasted the power of awareness, and you know there is no substitute. Once you awaken, returning to sleep is not relief, it is surrender, and you were never born to surrender. Carl Jung warned that individuation, the process of becoming fully conscious, requires relentless courage. It is not a one-time act, it is a daily commitment. You will be confronted with your own shadows over and over. You will face the discomfort of seeing truths others refuse to see. You will encounter people who resist your clarity, situations that challenge your integrity, and moments that demand action instead of avoidance. And here is the truth. Every time you choose consciousness, you grow stronger. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand your capacity. Every time you refuse the easy path, you solidify your power. This is where most people fail. They awaken briefly, glimpse the truth, then retreat. They dim their own light to fit in, to avoid conflict, to escape the heaviness of awareness. But you are not most people. You are here because you are ready to bear the weight of your consciousness, to walk in clarity even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is lonely, even when it demands everything of you. And make no mistake, this is the path of the extraordinary. The world needs the few who are willing to stay awake, who are willing to act consciously, who are willing to shape reality instead of letting it shape them. Remaining conscious requires practice, discipline, and relentless honesty. It demands that you question your motives, examine your assumptions, and observe your reactions. It demands that you recognize when fear, pride, or desire is influencing your choices, and that you act in spite of them, not because of them. It demands that you own your life fully, that you refuse to assign blame, and that you take complete responsibility for your growth, your energy, and your destiny. This is not a path for the faint-hearted. It is a path for warriors of the mind, architects of the soul, and guardians of truth. The courage to remain conscious also demands that you choose your environment wisely. Seek people who challenge you, ideas that stretch you, and experiences that awaken you. Avoid those who drain you with ignorance, triviality, or deception. Align yourself with those who recognize the power of clarity, who respect integrity, and who act with purpose. Surrounding yourself with consciousness amplifies your own, just as being near darkness diminishes it. Your environment is your battlefield, and the choices you make in it determine whether you thrive or wither. And above all, remember why you chose this path. Awareness is not about suffering, it is about becoming. It is not about loneliness, it is about alignment. It is not about pressure, it is about potential. The discomfort you feel, the isolation you endure, the vigilance you maintain, they are all proof that you are stepping into your full power. They are signs that you are moving closer to the life you were meant to live, the person you were meant to become, the influence you were meant to wield. So make the choice. Every morning, reaffirm your commitment to consciousness. Look in the mirror and say, I will see clearly. I will act intentionally. I will refuse comfort that diminishes me. I will own my power. Let this be your mantra, your compass, your unshakable declaration. The world may tremble, distract, or deceive, but you remain awake, aware, and unstoppable. This is the courage to remain conscious, the courage to embrace truth when it is uncomfortable, the courage to act when inaction is easier, the courage to bear the weight of awareness and convert it into mastery, resilience, and influence. Stand firm in this courage. Carry it into every thought, every word, every action, and let the world witness the unstoppable force that emerges when a human being chooses to remain awake, fully alive, and relentlessly conscious. You are that force. You are awake. You are powerful. You are unstoppable. The world will never be the same because you refuse to be anything less than fully conscious.